After Russia carried out a massive mobilization in the fall, military experts discussed in which parts of the front line Putin would use all these people. Even if we believe the official statistics and the fact that 300,000 men were called up, by the beginning of 2023, all intelligence reports indicated that only half of this number had arrived at the front. The remaining 150,000 have not yet been seen in combat and are most likely preparing for a new large-scale Russian offensive. Today we will talk about where this offensive begins and will Ukraine be able to hold it. We can now state that the advantage Ukraine had in the offensive in September and October was leveled with the onset of winter. And after the capture of Soledar, Russia began to seize the initiative again. Of course, the situation here is radically different from what it was at the beginning of the war. The Russian army is no longer making breakthroughs of hundreds of kilometers in a few days. Rather, it resembles the picture of the summer of 2022. Putin's generals are using their superiority in weapons and manpower to advance deep into Ukrainian territory. But these advances come at the cost of heavy losses. Back then, in summer, without the announcement of general mobilization, the Russian army quickly ran out of steam with this strategy. And now the word mobilization no longer scares Putin. His people have accepted it. This means that there is no need to fear manpower limitations. And now, having a huge stockpile of 150,000 people not used at the front, it is quite logical to use them in the most promising sector of the front. In order to eventually make a new major breakthrough and force Ukraine, under the pressure of losing new territories, to sit down at the negotiating table and surrender on terms acceptable to Putin. And it seems that this new major offensive has begun recently. Let's take a look at the situation at the front now. So, the hottest spot in recent weeks continues to be Bakhmut. The Russian army first attacked it with a large force of mercenaries, and when they ran out, they brought in regular troops. This paid off. First, they managed to capture the small town of Soledar, which is 10 kilometers from Bakhmut, and now they are trying to surround Bakhmut itself. It is especially important for the Russian army to cut off the road to Konstantinivka. It is already being shelled and it's dangerous to deliver cargo, but it is still possible. To the north of Bakhmut, after capturing Soledar, enemy troops began to move towards the village of Vasyukivka. However, over the past few days, they have abruptly changed the direction of their attacks and turned toward Rozdolivka. This change of direction took the Ukrainian defenders by surprise, allowing Russia to advance another kilometer in the area over the past week. However, both Bakhmut and Soledar are 2 points where the fighting has been active for a long time, and both sides have brought a large number of units there. And in order to successfully use the available reserve of 150,000 people, it is necessary to use them in a place unexpected by the enemy. And today we can state for sure that Putin has chosen Luhansk region and the area around the city of Kreminna as this place. According to the latest reports, the Russian side has brought new tanks to the area and has already begun actively shelling Ukrainian positions northwest of the city. For example, in the last 2 weeks alone, about 10,000 new troops have been deployed to the region, and now the number of troops near Kreminna exceeds 50,000. Although there is no official information about the advance of one side or the other, I had the opportunity to contact people who are currently under occupation and live near Kreminna. According to them, at the beginning of this week, there was very active shelling near the city, and now, with each passing day, the shelling is becoming quieter. This indicates that the Russian army has begun to advance from Kreminna into the depths of Ukrainian territory. Interestingly, 2 weeks before this offensive, enemy troops began an active assault on Vuhledar, which is 500 kilometers away at the other end of the front, all in order to stretch the Ukrainian defense and send reserves units away from the place where the real attack will take place. According to Onyx, a company that uses video evidence to calculate lost equipment, on average Russian losses twice as many heavy weapons as Ukraine. The level of losses can also be seen in this video, which was filmed near Vuhledar. In one small area you can see 7 units of damaged or abandoned Russian equipment at once. Unfortunately, we do not know how many heavy weapons Russia had left and how long it will be able to sustain this level of losses. But we can say with high confidence that the announcement deliveries of Leopard tanks have forced Putin to accelerate his plans for the offensive. Currently, Russia has a window of 2-3 months before European and American equipment enters Ukraine's arsenal and allows it to seize the initiative again. During this time, the Russian army will try to do the best it can. It's no exaggeration to say that the coming weeks will be key for Ukraine. We will know how the attack will develop later. In order not to miss important news from the front line, I advise you to subscribe to the channel. I live in Ukraine, so almost daily now I post videos about the news from the front line, which is not seen on TV. And that's all for today. If you like this video, please leave a like or leave a comment, and most importantly, live in peace.